After the crafting of the cabinet with the inclusion of some of the allies of Raila Odinga to Ruto's side, Raila Odinga has finally broken on his political silence that has been witnessed since yesterday. We term it political silence in quotes because the message has been out there, his people have been speaking, and Kenyans can read for themselves. Now, this is the letter that, maybe just to mention to you but a few of the content, is that Raila has written that I've taken note of President William Ruto's announcement yesterday regarding the reconstitution of the cabinet to include 4 members from ODM. And articulated in our statement Tuesday 23rd 2024, neither the ODM party nor Azimio la Umoja One Kenya alliance has entered into any coalition agreement with President Ruto's UDA party. We had participated in the crafting of clear terms of engagement based on issues we've raised on various communiques. While we extend our best wishes to the nominees that will contribute positively to the national development, we continue to advocate for national engagement under the following conditions. The conditions that has been saying, you know, compensation of victims of police brutality and violence, release of all arrested persons in custody, prosecution of policemen involved in killing of protesters, you know. We remain steadfast in upholding foundational principles of democracy, blah, blah, blah. All that. But just in summary, the letter is summarized that neither ODM nor Azimio is in a coalition pact with the UDA. But whatever we read out there is also clear to us, or to the citizens, or to the followers of either ODM, Kenya Kwanza, Azimio, or the people without any support on any political party, or the Gen Zs. The writings are so much clear on the wall. Today morning, just before we go on, I was watching some interview that I was following on one of the TV stations, I think that was Citizen TV, where ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, the Senator of Kisumu, Professor Tom Ojienda, and Bomet Senator, I think, was also there. Now, Edwin Sifuna was talking and he seemed to be defending Raila, while also at the same time trying to be defending himself, in as much as contradicting himself in a way. You know, for the past few days, Sifuna has been the voice that ODM will not get into any pact with UDA. But that happened yesterday. So he seemed to be at a point where he didn't know where to speak from, or maybe the interview ambushed him. Here is Sifuna.
We said that any member of ODM who's made themselves available for joining or appointment to government would be doing that in the individual capacity and without the blessing of the party. Because as a party, if we are going to take collective responsibility for a decision, it has to be a decision that is reached at, by the party. I don't speak for myself, Trevor, and I want Ojienda to understand that by the time we get to November of this year, I will be the longest serving SG of ODM. You do not stay in that position by issuing statements that you have not consulted about or not sanctioned by any organ of the party. I don't speak for myself. When I don the cap of SG, I speak for organs of the party, decisions that have been made by organs of the party. So did we know that people were negotiating with Ruto? Yes, we knew. Was it something that was being done officially or formally through the party structures? No. Did we endorse the decision by these 4 individuals to join government? No. It is not a decision of ODM. If you are getting into a government of national unity, you will show me a document. Trevor, even the much maligned handshake between Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, there was a document. You saw the 2 of them at Harambee House saying this is what we have agreed. It would have been different if when the president was announcing these names, he would have said, and by the way, I listened to his words. Even the president himself never said he consulted Raila. He never said he consulted ODM. He just said the names of the people that he has appointed, and it is his prerogative as a president. I don't speak for myself. I speak for the party. And until the day I no longer speak for the party, then I will continue speaking for the party. So what we want to say is this.
Now, just some moments before I came live on this, Babu Owino also released a political statement that maybe we'll analyze in preceding analysis that we'll be bringing to you here on the board. And Babu Owino termed the move by ODM as a betrayal, in as much as he says that he's a member of the ODM, but he sees that as a betrayal and said that he's now henceforth the official opposition leader. Here's the Babu speech.
ODM has a spokesperson that can speak on behalf of the party, and that is the party Secretary General. I'm speaking on behalf of Kenyans. Kenyans who are agonizing because Ruto is antagonizing instead of organizing this country, and therefore he should be disorganized by Kenyans. So on matters ODM, those who accepted these positions, Gen Zs cannot come out to fight for you, and then you behave like hyenas. Gen Zs died, people died, other Kenyans died because of this. You are not party to it. Why should you accept these positions? That is a show of greed, and that should never be tolerated. That is a decision I'm giving as Babu Owino, not as ODM, although I'm in ODM.
Now they are saying, the agencies are saying, it's high time Babu Owino to end it already. What do you think?
The Gen Zs are saying that, we Gen Zs have said that.
They are saying,
approaching you as the new opposition.
Yeah, actually, from today henceforth, I'm the chief opposition leader because there are so many jokes doing rounds. There are so many people who are in the opposition who are now in bed with the government. My interest is to fight for Kenyans. It pains me to see a person who was a fellow member of parliament joining government. And it pains me to look back in Soweto slums, Kibra slums, to look back in central region, Nyanza coast and everywhere else, to see that child who has been sent away because he lacks only 5,000 to pay for the schooling in a secondary school. Sent because of 5,000. I'm so pained to see that child who's stuck in hospital cannot be treated because they lack money. Even money for x-ray that is around only 2,500. If you can't afford it, then you can't even be x-rayed. I'm so pained to see our young men and women moving around without jobs, seeing a boda rider in the sun from morning to evening, only gaining 50 shillings to 100 shillings in a day, seeing a mama mboga, selling omena, only to get 50 Kenya shillings, 50 to 100. How will this parent collect this money to reach 300,000 Kenya shillings that Ruto wants in a university? So pained to see our children, our students who finished high school, are waiting to join university, cannot join because they can't afford it. Some people are dropping out because they can't afford it. Yet, we are encouraging patrimonialism, we are encouraging corruption, we are encouraging favoritism, we are encouraging mediocrity, we are encouraging kakistocracy. What are we doing as a nation? Mr. President, you fight on grounds that you are selling eggs, and on the grounds that you are selling chicken. You should know better what a hustler feels. It is because of education that...
But from all this, something that is coming out clearly that maybe Kenyans are asking is that if in case or if at all ODM went to bed with Ruto, then they should come out clearly and stop telling Kenyans so many stories. You know, in as much as it's their democratic right to do so, Kenyans also have a feeling, there is a section rather of Kenyans who are having a feeling that maybe they were betrayed on their call to accountability on this government. But there are Kenyans that are feeling that this was maybe the best move by both ODM and UDA. So, they seem, and the communication out there that seems to be denying while at the same time defending should not be something that is there. ODM cannot be seen to be denying, and just yesterday after the appointment, one Opiyo Wandayi went and met Ida Odinga and in Karen and wrote a message on Twitter thanking Raila for the tutelage and for the career guidance in politics and congratulating himself for having been nominated. So that tells you that for him to drag Raila in this, for him to meet Raila's wife, then that one definitely had the blessing of the party ODM. But there are things that are coming out clearly. That one, it seems that Raila's politics seems to be too predictable. That's why we are saying that ODM must have had an input in this. Because we're saying that during Kanu's government, that is Moi's government, Raila accessed his way into Moi's government. During the government of Kibaki, he accessed his way into it. During the government of Uhuru Kenyatta, he had his way into it. And now during the government of William Ruto, he seems to have had his way into this. That one comes out clearly. And you remember in 2018, we were told that Uhuru brought Raila to protect him from Ruto. Now Ruto brings Raila to seemingly protect him from Gen Zs, protect him from Rigathi Gachagua, and maybe protect him from Mount Kenya. The other thing that comes out is that the ODM entrants might have it rough maybe, because for one, they'll be divided on as to whether to pay their loyalty to Ruto, who is the president, or pay their loyalty to Raila Odinga. Because there are things that are coming out that somebody was asking. Now that in the run-up to the election, ODM as a party was sharply divided on the manifesto or on the riddance that Ruto was riding on to State House. So, which manifesto are they going to pay loyalty to? And if at all somebody like John Mbadi, the Treasury CS nominee, gets into the Treasury, then finds that maybe some of the policies, he doesn't seem to align with his personal vision in as to where he wants to take that Treasury. So what will he do? And that points to you that why we are saying that ODM goes into this, that is the basis call that ODM is still maintaining that they need to meet and have a conversation. That's why they are really advocating for a conversation, because once they meet and have a conversation, then that conversation must be around how their entrance into government are going to work around the government. Because they are also tending to politically avoid a situation where they'll be blamed come 2027 that you are part of this. So therefore, any blame that comes with this, you must also carry it for us, or you must also carry it with us. Anyway, that might not even happen also because, as I know, if it indeed it is true that this was with the blessing of Raila and ODM, Raila will defend Ruto. And that will make it easy for Ruto now to push his agenda forward or to push his administration forward. The other thing that seems out is that, you know, a problem that we have with Kenya is we tend to read everything almost on a tribal inclination. And that's why maybe probably the planners of this kind of working partnership between UDA and ODM, or between Kenya Kwanza and ODM, moved into this. Because they knew that the moment that they were going to get into this, then their supporters from their different tribal bases or tribal setups will either support or criticize this based on their tribes. And maybe that explains to you the tactic that maybe ODM is trying to use to buy time to state it to Kenyans that they were responsible for this, that they were part of this. So by that time they shall have moved other machineries, their maybe PR team, their propaganda team to tell their bases that this was the right move for us. And then after that, when their bases shall be okay with this, then they shall come out in full glare of the light that this had our blessing. Now, the other thing, you know, maybe also just still on that, their political bases will say that, oh, we'll start saying that we ni mtu wetu, and that feeling already you can read it out there. You can already read it out there. It's something that has started coming out there that, you know, we are no longer going to participate in the demonstrations because equally our people have got this, you know. That is what these people had at the back of their mind. That is what they had when crafting this. And another thing that is coming out still under this is that Ruto brought the idea of incorporating ODM into his government to salvage his sinking ship. Because it is true that he had got to a point that now he was feeling that his government was going down based on the pressure that the Gen Zs were giving him, based on the internal wrangles that he has inside the ruling party, and he was afraid that if the opposition could hijack all this, then that could be the end, or that could have dealt a huge blow to them. You know, a famous writer, Chinua Achebe, once said something, that when you bring a maggot-infested log into your house, then do not complain when cockroaches start paying you a visit. Anyway, that one I've left to you in order for you to digest it. Of course, now people will start moving on with, you know, that was the right move in healing the nation, so on and so forth. But maybe the question that I tend to ask myself is that when you are healing a nation and maybe a part of a nation feels left out, then also the headache of healing a nation seems to be so much hurting. Now, in conclusion, these are the things that clearly come out from all this. That the deal happened indeed with the blessing of Raila. Because from the inside sources that attended that kind of negotiation and agreement, it is said that one, Raphael Tuju, might have attended that as a representative of Raila to go and talk to Ruto's team. One, Joe Aguirre might have attended that. One, Adam Solo might have attended that. And one, Junet Mohammed might have attended that. And you know, when you talk of Junet Mohammed, is a close confidant of Raila Odinga. Adam Solo has been Raila's think tank for quite a long time. Joe Aguirre, a close confidant of Raila Odinga. Raphael Tuju, we know, you know. So, if it is true that these people might have represented ODM in that negotiation, then definitely it had the blessing of the ODM party. The other thing that comes out, you know, ODM is trying to buy time while convincing their political bases before they accept that it is indeed true. Or they are also equally aware that they don't have to accept, but it will be accepted with the time. As time moves by, it will be accepted maybe by their bases, in as much as some people are opposed to this. The other thing that is coming out, you know, we appreciate the Gen Zs for what they did. And the feeling is that they have done justice to our country to some level, even though that justice has not been achieved fully. Even though that justice must still be fought for, they have to continue on their accountability call in order to put this government on to toe, because as it seems, the official opposition that was there is now in bed with the government. And henceforth, maybe for the Gen Zs, it's a time for them to also re-strategize on how they want to call the government to accountability and to action, especially over pertinent issues that are bewildering this nation: corruption, unemployment, you know, all that, opulence, all that. They have to re-strategize. And if they don't re-strategize, that they still want to approach it maybe with the same approach that they had before, then the only option that they might be left with is to wait for 2027. That will be it. But I know that the option of waiting for 2027, many people don't want to hear it. But anyway, the sovereignty belongs to the people, and you have to express your sovereign call as a citizen of this country. The other thing that is coming out, if at all ODM did not bless this, then already we could be hearing cases of disciplinary threats, you know, even though this wasn't possible now that the nominated people will have to relinquish their positions and seats in order to move to the government according to the constitution. But in summary, it summarizes it that all along, this is politics. And as I said yesterday, politics is a game of political interests. And I tend to agree with Babu Owino. It's a game of political interest. So when you see Babu Owino trying to craft his way, then he equally has his interest that he says that in the long run might be ratified by some other interests that people are putting before. Don't be lied to. Don't start asking yourself that how now will John Mbadi or maybe Opiyo and I work with the government. These are politicians. They know they are in an art called politics. And you have to shout each other's names across the divide. But when time comes that your interests align, you throw all that back. Anyway, one thing also that maybe ODM and UD agreed on was that, and that we've been saying, is that the call for a technocrat field cabinet, that idea was not possible as per now. In that event, if it was possible, then ODM could have presented non-politicians, as Edwin Sifuna was trying to argue that, you know, if it would have been Raila's call, he could not have presented people with already elective seats, because that would be again taking our country to go and spend on elections of those members. But that is not it. They agreed that a technocrat cabinet, especially on UDA's side, when they are supposed to seek a re-election, is not possible. Because you need politicians to drum up support for you to be re-elected. And maybe technocrats might not be in a position or capability to do that if you fill your cabinet with an entire technocrat filled cabinet. Lastly, this move now, if the CSS are vetted and are approved by Parliament, I tend to see that it will now give Ruto the best foot forward towards 2027. And I heard him today somewhere in Tharakanithi already back on his promises agenda. Now he'll start that, and he'll start it on a serious note now that he's seeing that 2027 is almost around the corner. Thank you for watching. That marks the end of our analysis.